The Aussie NFL Fantasy Show would like to acknowledge the traditional land owners and the leaders past, present and emerging of Ngunnawal, Ngambri and Darawal countries where we are working from today. This always was, and always will be, Aboriginal land.
This is the Aussie NFL Fantasy Show.
Once we get to Sunday or Monday for us Aussies, it's going to be one heck of a show, I reckon. I've only really went for 2 Super Bowl championship teams. Since I've pretty much watched the Super Bowl, I've never gone for the winning team. So I remember the Peyton Manning Broncos, I went for them, but I was going for the Panthers as well. I was like on the fence in that game. But yeah, I also went for the Eagles. Okay, I mean, the Saints, Colts, and also the Steelers, Cardinals. I went for both teams because I didn't know what the game was like back then. I went for the Broncos officially because they won.
G'day and welcome. It's been 157 days, 18 regular season weeks, 272 regular season games, a wildcard round, a divisional round, championship weekend. We've had 8 No Huddle Dynasty episodes, 27 Gday Gridrion episodes, 91 Aussie NFL Fantasy Show episodes, 3 weeks of Aussie Gridiron Mashup episodes, countless hours of recording stupidity. And here we finally are, knocking on the door of Super Bowl 57. A matchup between the Kansas City Chiefs, the 2022 AFC champions, 16-3 record, 546 points to date, 6 All-Pro players, including a Kelsey and a QB, and the Philadelphia Eagles, 2022 NFC champions, who also have a 16-3 record, 546 total points, 6 All-Pro players, including a Kelsey and a QB. A matchup between the top 2 teams in the NFL, so evenly matched that even the bookies and the best NFL analysts aren't able to split them. So for the final time, before we crown the 2022 NFL champion, boys, I get to say, G'day Aussie Gridiron fans, and welcome to another Mashup episode where we combine the minds of Aussie NFL Fantasy, No Huddle Dynasty, G'day Gridiron, add a pinch of NFL analysis, a bunch of nonsense, and a whole lot of fuckery into a big pot and let it congeal and coagulate until we have the madness, which is in front of everyone right now. Hello, boys. How are we going?
Oh, I'm shook, for starters. That's a heck of an intro.
That was a beautiful intro.
I'm done, boy.
That was amazing, Ian. Oh, I'm thrilled.
Geez, this podcast is only going to get worse and worse after that. That's going to be pinnacle.
Yeah, that was just the start. That was the start of good
That's
start.
the start
mate.
of the podcast.
At least you get the viewers some interest now.
I'm
Basically,
excited.
that's going to be the first bit of bread in this shit sandwich. The rest of it's shit, and then let's just add a bit of bread at the end.
I mean, when I got up this morning, I wasn't expecting to hear coagulate, so fucking
Yeah,
put that on the list and
oh,
immediately
oh,
tick it.
Mate, after the first week when I called a symbiotic being,
Yeah.
I really had to come up with something. So
Mate.
I've been racking my brain all afternoon.
You've been at a thesaurus.com, it's obvious, and I spent a lot of time on there myself, brother. I get it.
I was about to say, we know my thesaurus only has like one word and then the same word.
It's both. This thesaurus is both terrible and terrible, was the joke I made last year, and I still chuckle at that when I hear it. It was a good moment.
Yeah. Look, my takeaway from that intro is I was just lost at the numbers because I'm like, shit,
Yeah.
I've done like over 100 podcast episodes this year myself,
And
like
yes,
being across both shows. It's like, what?
Manjo,
crazy.
you have done a lot this year. Since Manjo
Yeah.
has been on every one of those G'day Gridiron ones, he hasn't been on every one of those 91 Aussie NFL Fantasy
He
ones,
missed
has he?
One, I think.
One.
Just one.
Fucking- This
Which
is
one did I miss?
how
Wasn't there- There was one where you had to be somewhere, and Taylor and I just had to pick part of it up ourselves. Like, it was one where we did the full recording, split into 3, 4 shows, whatever. There was
Matty
one
and I-
segment we had to run ourselves.
We
Oh,
did,
yeah. That was the one where I had the exam. Yeah, I remember. You
Because we were going to
did
boot you
like
for the whole week. We were literally just going to, you're on the bench, mate.
Yeah,
Study.
that was the one. That was the one where I had the exam the next day. But yeah, anyway,
Twist it
it's been a
around, we're
long
letting you play.
season. It has been a long season. Finally getting to the Super Bowl. Man, it's felt like the Super Bowl bye week and everything. Oh boy, I just want to get to the big game already because the wait is like killing me. It's
Yeah,
already
I'm
like
moister than
two.
an oyster, boys.
Hey,
I'm moister than an oyster, boys. Can't wait.
moister than oyster.
Marky, how do you handle the bye week in between? Because the Super Bowl generally lands around your birthday, and then they've gone and shuffled stuff around, and now the Super Bowl's a little bit later. Changes your world a bit, doesn't it?
It does. It does. I can put holidays later in the month now, so that works well.
Clears out the anniversary day for yourself for your trips around the sun a bit.
Yes. Yes, just clocked up 12 years there, so that was good. Yes, it's a whole bunch of my life in one place.
Yes.
I had hair when I started. Not so much now.
Marky and I think between us have something like 25 combined years of imprisonment at this one workplace.
Imprisonment is a word.
Nothing on you guys.
He's still soldiering on. I was able to find an escape route at somewhere along the way.
I'm digging, mate. I'm digging hard.
He's doing the chiseling through the wall with a spoon like it's Shawshank. That's what's going on here.
He's close to the sewage pipes.
So after you dig your way out, Marky, what are you doing for Super Bowl Monday in Australia?
I'll be working. Unfortunately, this one.
That's
Admittedly,
that's poor planning.
I've missed the last two, and I stay away from the result. I turn everything off. I do the Matty C. I go completely offline. Then I sit in the lounge room, no noise. Kids go away, and just recap. That way I can fast forward all the shit that I don't like. So Rihanna, gone.
Rihanna.
Don't care what song she sings, I won't hear it.
It's the only part of it all that my wife will watch. So there's kind of a beautiful balance, bit of, I don't know. I don't want to use Ian's fancy S word from our first mashup show, but there's definitely a balance.
It's not going to be anywhere near as good as last year.
Oh,
No.
I watched just for Eminem.
Or even the year before, actually.
The weekend was pretty good.
Considering
he had like 0 fans there.
Amazing.
He was given like the absolute shittest halftime show, and he turned into something that was actually a real decent product.
True. And I mean, I don't care much for the halftime show. I sort of realized that now if we're starting to bring people back, they've reached the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah.
But don't you remember when it used to be, they didn't even go after modern acts. They were like, the Rolling Stones.
That was still better. That was still better, though. Come on.
Who's watching that and entertained? And then in the lead up, you'd have Mick Jagger getting interviewed by, whoever's got the Super Bowl that year. Have you ever always wanted to play the Super Bowl? And he's like, not really.
What? For a little while, I thought they were going to bring out Aussie, which was a bit scary.
Mick Jagger and his colostomy bag.
It wasn't actually the Rolling Stones or Mick Jagger. It was their wax figurines from the Ripley's thing.
Oh, yeah.
And just dubbed the sound over the top.
It was just Adam Levine pretending to be Jagger singing.
Adam Levine in a Jagger mask.
Yeah, and all of this to avoid controversy after we all know what happened with Timberlake, right? We all know.
And I think the very next year they went and got like the Who. It's like,
no, that was
wow.
a great. Yeah. The Timberlake halftime show was a great halftime show. What are you talking about?
Thanks for the memories. Yeah, 100%.
Let's get Maddie. What are you doing Super Bowl Monday? I suppose you're working too, are you?
Yeah, I tend to. In years gone by, I've done the full lockdown. In more recent years, I haven't bothered so much about locking myself down because, the Peyton Manning versus the Seattle defense year.
Yeah,
I locked myself the fuck down for that because I'm a Peyton Manning apologist, and I will always be. And just as I sat down to watch it, the Foxtel thing goes, "Oh, reminder, your show's about to start." I'm like, right, I'll flick it over now, and I caught the very last moment of the out credits of SportsCenter, and the only thing it showed, not a scoring play, but it was enough to go. Oh. It was a play from the game, and it was the first snap of the game when the ball sails past Peyton. He's literally got to leg it like a stiff, drunken tin man trying to chase this ball down before he gets absolutely pillaged by about 8 Seahawks. And I thought, that's all I need to know. I haven't seen any. I've seen just that one play, and I already know what's going to happen. I was wrong because I didn't realize how bad it was going to get. So yeah, since then I try not to be so cute about it, just in case.
Fair enough.
It's a public holiday in Manjot's house, though. We know that.
It's Manjot's for sure. That's why I was going with Taylor next. What are you doing,
Tay?
I think I'm going to be putting away a shitload of wings and pizza and all the garbage at
Here we go.
at the Shell Harbour Club, Shelley's.
Great place.
Us a table down there in front of the big screen, so we're all going to be pumping a bunch of food and getting. I think it was like $20, and we all get a beer and then a bunch of food stuff. Like, it's going to be awesome. So I've normally worked too, but it's normally an admin day for. I always keeping an eye on the game as it's happening, because I can't be like those guys. I could not help myself. I would definitely jump on Facebook or something accidentally and see the score. So I just don't trust myself. So I try to keep eye on the game as much as I can. But this year I'm just like, you know what, stuff it. I'm going to go watch it properly.
So this will be the first time you've actually gone and watched it properly with other people?
I think I have in the past some years, but it's been a while. Like, I probably haven't actually gone and sat down and watched the whole game not working for probably 4 or 5 years.
For the last probably 4 or 5 years, that's what I've been doing. We've been going somewhere different every year, trying out a few different places with some of the boys, seeing what it's like, just getting in amongst the crowds and having some fun. So it was better than the first couple of years where I kind of ignored it, or not really, or I just looked at the score and I was just like, yeah, cool, whatever. But yeah, once I think it's the atmosphere. It's the closest you can get to an atmosphere in Australia without actually spending a ton of money and going to America, getting around other NFL people and just having a good time.
I think the last time I went somewhere, I went to Bleachers Sports Bar. I think that was about 4 or 5 years ago when I went there. So I've basically worked every year since. So I'm looking forward to actually just getting to watch the whole game this time.
Plus, the other great thing about it in Australia is you get to take a Monday off and start drinking at 9 a.m.
Breakfast beers. Better than breakfast trades and breakfast beers.
Mate, I mean, when I'm turning up, because we go into a place called Foghorn Brewery, which I'm sure Taylor would know about in Newcastle.
I don't mind a brewery.
Yep, so we go to Foghorns this year, and we went a few years ago to there, and one of the best things ever was getting a pint of beer, so because they do actual pints, to get a full pint and a plate of chicken wings at 9 a.m, and I was like, this is fucking breakfast, this is living. This is better than Bathurst for me.
It's your best life right there.
Well, the only thing that even comes close to it is my Bathurst weekend, where Sunday morning we're sitting on chairs on the hill watching the sunrise over Bathurst, and as the sun comes up, I crack a tinny, and then that's 5:30, 5:45 in the morning. Click, there we go.
There we go,
and we're on.
And we're on, yes. And it doesn't stop until 6:30, 7 o'clock, maybe 9 o'clock that night. So,
wow.
I
want to share just something really quickly. And I know Manjot's desperate to get in there and talk about his Super Bowl, but I want to share something that my wife did for a Super Bowl, slightly famous Super Bowl where it went to overtime. And so we all know that Super Bowl. But have a look at this, and I'm going to duck out of the way. This is a snack stadium.
Did you do this?
My wife made this, and it's got all these foil things to try and look like stands. But look at it all. Hang on, I'm going to try and get my head further out of the way.
Matty.
Full, like every little aluminium container is tilted at an angle. It's got different either hot food or dip or cut up cheeses or crackers or chips or whatever it might be in it.
Wow.
Fantastic. Check that out. And the little row of cans at the top there to try and make it look like, a bit of a stadium thing, and these things on the side. Yeah. So that's what
some of these venues should have. That's what they should bring out to your table when you sit there watching the big screen.
How about that? That's wife made that one for the famous Atlanta Patriots Super Bowl. It was a lot of effort, and she hasn't done it since, and I think probably fair enough.
It can't be fucked since.
I remember when you posted that, I showed that to Rani and said, this is the sort of effort that you could go to. She threw a box of Jats at me.
I'm sorry, Marky. I've actually ruined Mark Downey's life in a lot of ways. And every time I see his wife, I apologize. It's the first thing out of my mouth is, Rani, I'm so sorry. She does well to put up with any of you, Mark, because I've ruined you.
Well, fantasy made everything better, mate.
All right, let's go with Major.
Got to.
You're on that side of me. We know what the Belly household is obviously a big football, a big sporting household.
Yeah.
There's a lot of 49ers fans in that household.
Yeah.
So I can imagine that it would have been absolutely enormous if 49ers were in this Super Bowl.
Yeah, it would have been. But still going to be watching it. My dad's still going to be watching it, hopefully. Not sure if my dad got the day off or not, but hopefully he did and can watch it with me.
Yeah.
Does your sister stay home from school? Sister staying home from school and making random predictions in your ear halfway through the game, or what?
So back in the day,
and then Manjot can make him a call. I call that.
Yeah, no. Back in the day when I was when I went to high school and primary school before they moved the game back. So luckily I got out of school when they moved the game back last year. But so what used to happen was the Super Bowl always fell on the day before the school year would start for me, because all the new students would start on a Monday. So then the Tuesday would be for the returning students. So as long as I didn't move to a school, then
in the
then I could watch the Super Bowl. There was like a few years though, like where it's like I think the Peyton versus the Panthers Super Bowl I watched at school. I watched the Falcons one at school. See, I'm being honest here, guys. Like I did watch a lot of Super Bowls on my tablet, my old Android tablet at school. I will be honest, that's how I got my NFL knowledge up there, is watching games in class and stuff. My teachers will be disappointed, but I did come out to one teacher about that when I was watching it while he was showing it. I was watching a game between the Dolphins.
Came out of the gridiron closet.
Yeah. So the Dolphins were playing like the Raiders. That game where it was like, I think, it was on Sunday Night Football. And then like my teacher, he was showing the class how American football works. I'm literally watching the game. I'm like, yes, this is my moment. I can watch American football in class. So yeah. And then like I told him, I'm literally watching it right now. Yeah, that was the one where like the O lineman like picked up the ball and stuff, and then he fumbled it. Like I think this is 2017. So don't know about Mark's don't know how far Mark's memory would go back in that one.
Mark's loyalty runs deep.
Yeah, I'm sure it would. I'm sure he would remember. But yeah, like
10th year as a Dolphins fan, right?
10th. I haven't got much to remember. So
10 years.
Yeah.
10th year.
Yeah. So
what am I, man? What are we? 20? What was the Minnesota Miracle year, Major? 2015.
It was 2017 season, 2018, 27/18. Yeah, 17/18.
That's 17. So I'm going 6 years.
Tay, when did your Titans fascination start, mate? When did the hallucinations start?
The Titans hallucinations.
Like 2000. Like I said, it started very much me as a kid playing 2K NFL, and I just love Steve McNair and Eddie George.
And Dyson and George. Yeah.
It was like a mix. It was a mix of that and Remember the Titans movie coming out.
Yep.
It was definitely those sort of mashing together, and I just really like the logo and everything, and I just always seem to gravitate to those guys when I was playing, so I've just gone for them ever since.
Manjot's 49ers have been since about 2009 or something.
I said 2009, yeah.
Yeah.
Around then, I adopted them knowing that San Fran was my auntie's city. So I was like, oh, yeah, they have a team, 49ers. Okay, I'll take it.
Okay.
But yeah, back to the story of me watching the Super Bowl. So 4 out of 5 years, I couldn't watch the Super Bowl because I couldn't watch, but like I watched it at school. But there was, except for 2015, literally the best Super Bowl ever, Super Bowl 49, Patriots and Seahawks. Like I couldn't, like back then you couldn't stream the game or anything on any like website. Like I didn't know how to stream it. So like 7+ didn't exist until late 2015. So that was an absolute shame. It's my first day of high school, I remember. So my boy Jack, we didn't go to high school together, but he always tells me, he said back then he was a Seahawks fan and he stayed at home because the Seahawks were in the bowl. And
He was sick.
and I avoided all of it. And then I watched a version of it on YouTube afterwards, and then it was like, oh dang, what a game, man. Why did I go to high school? Well, I mean, look, I don't
Yeah, why
fully
did I go to
regret it.
school?
Why am I bothering with this education shit?
Yeah, no, I don't fully
Why
regret it.
can't
I
I-
did meet,
Why
I did
can't I
meet
just be
one of my
playing
best
football?
friends. Yeah, I did meet one of my best friends, from for life, on that day. So I wouldn't say I regretted it fully now, but that being said, watching that live, I can't imagine watching it for the first time. When I saw it, I was like, yeah, I was as confused as everyone about that Butler interception. And watching Super Bowl 51 at school was like a whole other experience too. It's like different teachers would let me watch the game at different times. So it's like my English teacher, she's like, "No, Emmanuel, put that tablet away." I'm like, "Okay, miss, I'll put it away." And then it goes into overtime and it goes in maths class. So the Super Bowl would always end around lunchtime at school. So then it was in maths class. And I told my maths teacher, please, can I watch? It's overtime in the freaking Super Bowl. All I knew was the Patriots were down 28-9, so I didn't know about the 28-3 bit. But yeah, so 28-9 coming back from that, and then once I got so I was watching during it. So I watched it off a friend's phone because my Android tablet was about to die, poor thing. But and then I saw that, and then it was the toss to white, and it was like, wow, that was the greatest Super Bowl of all time. It was crazy. And so from 2015 to 2019, I had school every year except the year the Eagles won in 2018 during the Super Bowl. So I missed a lot of Super Bowls. The last 3 years, so when the Niners lost, when Chiefs lost to the Bucks, and then when the Rams won last year, I've watched it at home. So thankfully, I'm over the school sort of curse there with Super Bowls. So nowadays, I'm going to schedule days off whenever I have jobs conflicting with it and everything. So yeah, that's just how I do Super Bowls. It's fun. It's fun around here. Definitely a public holiday for me any day.
100%. It's going to be an interesting one because as Ian said out the gate, two teams with the same record. And I genuinely believe that the best team from each conference is there. I genuinely believe that would have been a lot of fun if the Bengals could have got back. I was quietly not going to be upset who lost that game because it would have been fun to see the Bengals back. But I genuinely think the best two teams are there. And what do you think about the lineup where the two teams that we've been presented? How do you think they rate in terms of credibility about being there?
Oh well, they're definitely the top two teams in either conference this year for sure. I mean that's why they were both the number one seeds as well. The NFC, 100% the Eagles. They've been since the start. There's a little bit of a hiccup, I guess, towards the end of the regular season. If you could call it a hiccup, I think they might have just backed off a little and probably just took it a bit easy in games that they probably shouldn't have taken it so easy in. But
it's looking that way though from their last two starts. Would you say?
yeah. And then the Chiefs obviously have done a little bit the harder way. They had to find their identity again from early in the season. Obviously from losing key players over 2021, they really had to find an identity. And I don't think that they've 100% found that identity yet, but definitely with the strengths of the coaching in that organisation, in the Chiefs organisation, it's helped them get over that big hurdle and come a long way to be where they rightfully should have been. It's scary too, because if we knew who the Chiefs were from week one, and we knew who their top stars were from week one, and they were firing like they have been the last few weeks in the first few weeks of the season. Can you imagine what this NFL season, this NFL landscape would have been like on the AFC side with them being this dominant, I guess, amongst other AFC teams? It would have been ridiculous.
I think the only pity is that they didn't get that opportunity to have the big playoff showdown with the Bills. I think that's a little bit of a pity. But I like that the playoff showdown they got with the Bengals was really worthy.
Oh, I think either one of those two, though, we're always going to be worthy.
Marky Mark, I want to hear your opinion about this because you take really long views on stuff, knowing that's a dynasty and upcoming drafts are really sort of at the front of the way you think about these things. And these teams, especially the Eagles, get there on the back of how many great drafts and how few of the players have acquired from other places. Well, give me your take on these two teams and their worthiness.
Oh, the Eagles are like I didn't actually know that until I posted the photo that I found online. That's astounding to see that many players and them nail that many drafts. It kind of boggled a little bit. I kind of feel like I don't want to oversimplify, but I feel like the maths on this is pretty simple. If the Chiefs can stop the run game, I think they can outplay the Eagles. I was looking at the sports bet market. I don't know if all else fails statistics-wise. Just go to the betting markets because they'll tell you what you need to know. Vegas never fails. The Eagles have gone under the point spread in every playoff game. So, yeah, it's
really?
I feel like, again, I don't want to simplify it because they're both really good teams. And I was one, I doubted the Eagles all season, even up until this game. I've been waiting for them to fall off the edge, and they're just not going to do it. So happily take an L on that one. If the Chiefs can stop the run, I think that's enough for Patrick to do the rest.
Ooh. Taylor's a bit of a betting man too. What do you sort of look at the same things, say, when you're looking at the worthiness of teams and how to separate them in it doesn't get bigger than this, right?
Mate, if there's a number, I'll look at it. If it's numbers, if it's stats, if it's gambling, it's anything, I'll have a look. What I actually am really looking forward to in this game is it's funny if you match up the teams right. I think the Eagles have an enormous edge almost everywhere. I think they have the better O-line. I think they have the better D-line. I think they have the better receiving core. Honestly, running back really isn't that much difference. I don't really see Miles Sanders, Boston Scott, Kenneth Gainwell as a huge upgrade over Pacheco. I think it's actually pretty even there. So I really don't think there's a huge upgrade for the Chiefs compared to the Eagles really anywhere. They're even better at defending the pass, the Eagles. Like everywhere you look all over the field, they actually, to me, seem like they have the edge. But you can throw all the stats you want about why the Eagles might win, and you're just going to look at Patrick Mahomes. You're just going to say, I can't bet against that guy. That's honestly what it's like. How many times was Tom Brady up against a team that probably looked like they were actually the better team, like over the park, over the field, like all over the place, and you're just like, well, it's Tom Brady. He's probably going to win, and he won more than he lost. So, it's one of those crazy ones. Here's one stat for you, talking about numbers. The Eagles only faced 5 average or above average offenses this year, and they gave up 30.8 points to those teams. So their defensive numbers are probably a bit boosted by the fact that they didn't play awesome offenses all year. So take with a bit of a grain of salt some of the stats you get from the Eagles defense, because when they actually played good offenses, they actually crumbled a bit. So I just thought I would sort of even out some of the takes I just had about the Eagles being better.
Brought that all the way back.
Taylor doing self-regulation.
Yeah, look, I'm a numbers guy, and I love looking into all that stuff. And all the stats say that the Eagles have the edge all over the field, basically outside of quarterback. And in the end, in the Super Bowl, I think the quarterback almost counts for 5 positions. It's just one of those things mentally. It's hard to get past. I know Pat Mahomes is coming off the high ankle sprain, but you're not going to see him look worse than he did 2 weeks ago. The 2-week break is only going to help him with that, and it's going to obviously help Kelsey with that back injury he had going into the AFC Championship game as well. So as much as there's some edges for the Eagles all over the field, I really can't go past the Chiefs. Like, it's really hard because I just like to take the better quarterback, and the team's sort of been there and done that. There've been 5 AFC Championship games in a row. Quite amazing. So, I can see why the betting market's close, because these teams are really hard to separate. But I really do think it's one of those things where it's like Eagles are the better team here, and here, but one team has Pat Mahomes.
Yeah, 100%. And now, after 19 games of samples, we've got 2 teams who both got the only bye that's available in the playoffs as well. So we've got beautifully, balanced the view of them. But Manjot, now we're down to 60 minutes, right? How do the things that both Taylor and Mark have just presented to you in terms of, well, let's look at it from a draft perspective and just the capital that's gone into it. Let's look at it from a numbers perspective. Man, the way you analyze it's completely different again. What do you see in all of this, and how do you separate these teams?
I mean, look, they definitely got there, albeit you got to have a bit of luck on your side. Both teams have benefited from a lot of luck before and during the postseason. And so, like, they've taken advantage of the luck they've had received and they've got here. So, these two teams pretty much it's really evenly matched across the board. I think I agree with what Taylor said. With all the top 5 offenses they faced, I mean, one of them literally had like 0 quarterbacks. There was probably other injuries to other teams and all these sort of things. But then you look at the Chiefs; they're just week in, week out. They're just doing their job. They only had a couple hiccups to the Bills and the Bengals, and in the regular season. And I can't remember who the other team they lost to was. I think it was like the can't remember who it was, but they weren't too bad against like some of the good teams out there. They were actually pretty. That was the. Sorry, Tyler, you were saying?
I was just saying, who are the teams you already noted? Because they lost to the Bengals.
Yeah, the Bengals, the Bills, and then they lost to. You can probably find it, but
it wasn't the Titans, by the way.
Yeah, it was not the Titans.
It was not the Titans. Yeah. That was like a 410-7 game. I remember watching that for about 8 minutes and then being like, "Wow, see ya."
Yeah, the Colts. The Colts were the other team. There you go. See,
you remember that? Yes. Back when the Colts were good for 8 minutes. Yes.
Yeah, that was their only good victory. And I barely remember that game because I went to sleep during it. But yeah, like I was sleeping during that one. But
so did the Chiefs defense, anyway, so don't worry about it.
That was a long, long time ago. So I really disregard that. They've been on an incredible run recently. Ever since that Bengals game, which they lost, they've been absolutely incredible. They're on a 7-game win streak right now after that Bengals loss. So they're coming in very hot. The Eagles, they had a couple hiccups at the end of the regular season, as we noted earlier, but still coming in with those 3 victories in a row themselves. So they're both on some sort of win streak. I'd take the Chiefs a bit more seriously than the Eagles. I mean, I honestly think though that the Eagles are the better roster, probably do have the edge. Even with Pat Mahomes on the field, it's just I don't know. Like the Eagles, I'm not sure about them. I think they'll prove a lot of people wrong, and they'll win the game. They'll win the Super Bowl. They'll be the champions. I think that's where I'm feeling right now. But after discussion, I might change to the Chiefs. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm still on the fence because you look at these two teams, the storylines and everything, very, very evenly matched. A lot of talk going into this game about so many different things, so many connections between the two teams, like the Kelsey brothers, Andy Reid, Nick Sirianni working for both teams. All of these sort of connections between the two franchises are really evident, and it's almost like the Eagles and the Chiefs have similar systems, similar ways of thinking. It's really going to be a battle of the wits between the experienced Andy Reid and this up and comer Nick Sirianni right now.
Well, and I want to do another lap around with a question to each too, but I want to go back to Ian with this one because being an NFC guy as well, Manjot says, well, I take the Chiefs more seriously. And we've also just sort of heard a little bit of, well, the Eagles kind of had a bit easier earlier in the season. How did they even beat? Do you subscribe to that as well? Do you were you sort of one of these folks who was looking at 8-0 going, yeah, is that really 8-0? Or who'd you beat? Like, how do you assess them?
How do I assess them? Oh, it's hard. That's hard to say. But how
do you assess this? Like, how legit is this Eagles team? How much do you buy it?
I guess I'm a little bit both ways. Yeah, I'm a little bit more like what Taylor said. I'm on both sides, where I can make. There's pros and cons for both. I can make fors and against for both. Yes, the Eagles obviously. Eagles' strength in their schedule hasn't been as hard as the Chiefs has been through the season, and that's largely because the parity we've seen the parity in the AFC is off the charts. It is so dead on that there's so many AFC teams. I mean, we saw at the end there's the Chiefs, the Bills, and the Bengals who we could have been happy to be in the Super Bowl. And all be talking about that for sure. Whereas
Agreed.
In the NFC, once everything went to complete shit for, like, as Taylor would say, a shit sandwich for the 49ers, who really was there to really take on the Eagles in a real sense? The Cowboys were never going to do it. Tampa Bay were never going to do it. The Vikings sure as fuck weren't going to do it. Oh. So they've sort of had, I guess, an easier run to a championship and to the NFC championship. And it is really because of that parity. But they did go 8-0. I think didn't they go bigger than that? Wasn't it?
They ended up getting to about 14 or something like that before they lost one. Yeah,
before they lost the game. So
13 or 14. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's huge.
I think they did start 8-0, and then the Commanders beat them, and then they
won.
They
went more. There was like 14-1 or something like that.
Yeah, there you go. I can remember having an enormous number and one.
Regardless, I mean, it was
13-1.
It was 14-3 for the season. So you get to 14-3 for the season, you've got to be doing something right. There's something clearly going on really well within the Eagles organization.
You can't fluke it for 4 straight months is kind of what I'm thinking.
Yeah. And as Taylor said, they've got the better O-line. They've got the better D-line. It's they sort of lose out a bit. I agree. They lose out a bit on running back. I would actually say they lose out on running back. I wouldn't put Sanders over Pacheco, or I would say Pacheco is probably better. They lose out on QB because it's Patrick Mahomes. Yes, 10 years' time, Jalen Hurts might be the dude. He might be all-time great, But right now, you look at the two on match, that I would still say the brain of Patrick Mahomes over sort of the all-round game of Jalen Hurts. It sort of wins out, but to me, it's just a harder question. Are they the real thing? Yes, they are real enough to get here. They've got to get through their conference, and that's what they did. It's not their fault that the rest of their conference wasn't up to the task of beating the Eagles on par. Whereas in the AFC, there's so many more teams that went out and spent money and did the right things and got players and invested in their own team to be at so everybody was at the top of their absolute game.
There were definitely 3 very worthy division winners who would have all been great, combatants for that championship game. It wouldn't have mattered which way you sliced that.
Yeah.
But I guess I don't want to hold you down to your tip just yet. I want to go down to Marky Mark and just ask him kind of similarly then, which unit are you most excited about seeing going up against the other unit? So, whether it's a receiver, cornerback you're interested in seeing, whether it's a whole defense versus a whole offense. What part of the game is going to be the most engaging and intriguing for you, mate?
In terms of units, I'm always happy to see Taylor.
Yeah. Always.
Solid unit.
The solidest unit.
So
great unit.
So Mark.
Look, I know it's probably the really easy answer, but I really just want to see how the Eagles secondary are going to handle Kelsey. Because, as we've seen in previous weeks, you can try and pull him back if you like, but there's so many other weapons that are going to beat you. So do they cave? Do they double him and try and limit him? So you can't take him out, you can limit him.
Yep.
And then Mahomes will just kill you another way. Or do they just say, okay, we know that he's just going to do his thing. We're going to take everything else away and just try and pressure Mahomes and hope he makes a mistake. But yeah, that's probably the one for me.
It's a pretty good one because you got the number one passing defense in the league versus just the unstoppable weapon at a position that there's no other player at the position like him. So that's pretty top shelf. But Tay, I want to ask you similarly because I know that you'll have a different opinion on this.
I was just going to say, to Mark's point, the Eagles don't historically take away the middle. Like, they don't really look to scheme that way. So it'll be interesting, like Mark said, whether they completely change the way that they normally do things, because they normally are sort of better at just defending wide receivers and they kind of let the middle happen. But when you get it going up against the Chiefs, you kind of have to change what you're doing because everything is going through Kelsey. So, it will be interesting to see if they do like a Jags and they kind of let everything happen in front of them and they're happy for Kelsey to get 10, 11 catches and make sure that they're only 8 or 9 yards instead of 20, or whether they're actually going to try and double, triple team him and make a Juju or a Kadarius Toney or an MVS beat him. So that will be interesting. One I've actually sort of earmarked that I find interesting for this game is how the Chiefs O-line is going to handle this Eagles D-line, because the Eagles D-line set a record this year for sacks. They absolutely
1,000.
They were just destroying quarterbacks. I know they played a lot of shitty quarterbacks, so I'm not saying that Mahomes is all of a sudden just going to succumb to this D-line, because that's actually what makes this matchup interesting. Is the Eagles D-line that good, or have they just been playing shitty quarterbacks? That's what I want to really see. What Mahomes looks like. I want to see if he can actually run well on that ankle, because he may need to. I know the Chiefs' O-line isn't terrible. I'm not trying to say that, but I think the Eagles are going to overmatch them, and it's going to be interesting to see how Mahomes sort of deals with that, and if it gets in his head, because we saw him 2 years ago against the Bucks really
running
when they got to him. So, I just want to sort of see that matchup and how it plays out.
It just came to me while you're talking to. I was thinking, gee, more sacks than a Roman bathhouse. And then I missed half your analysis because I was laughing to myself about how many sacks get around in a Roman bathhouse. Anyway, so do you mind repeating what you said?
Yeah, just wanted to add also against the Niners in that Super Bowl, he struggled for a long time in that game as well until that one play. So just wanted to put that one out there as well.
My question to you about this then too, Manjot, was how does this game change then if by some miracle, instead of not having to go through a absolute revolving door at quarterbacks, 49ers actually have a decent guy in the center last week. They put up a decent fight. They come away with a win, and now you're in this matchup instead of the Eagles. How does that change the way this game would play out, do you think? Different strengths, right?
Yeah, I think it would be different. Look,
I know this is an indulging you question, and I should know better than to ask you that, but how about it?
Look, just thinking about that, I still think the Niners lose because of that pattern we have of losing the conference championship and the Super Bowl, conference championship, Super Bowl.
You lose a lot of big games. I'm not going to lie.
We're due a Super Bowl loss this year. But yeah, look, we broke that sort of pattern in a bad way. But I'm not sure, like, if the Niners, if they make it with with one quarterback. If it was Jimmy, I don't think we make it with Jimmy. If it was Trey, I'm really not sure, because he'd have to have like a massive improvement over what we've seen. If it was Purdy from the start of the year, possibly. I think there was a chance there. So look, if we were playing them with Purdy there at quarterback, if Purdy didn't get injured in that game and we won, I think we would match up pretty well with the Chiefs, but I still would fear for Patrick Mahomes just destroying us, especially with secondary wise. And I think going back to the actual matchup now, I think that's where my big unit would be. It would be Patrick Mahomes against that Eagles secondary because you're not going to really run the ball much against that Eagles D line. Grant, they've played against a lot of run games that were bad or too predictable or those sort of things. But thinking about it, like, yeah, the Chiefs, no offense to Pacheco and McKinnon, but they're not really gonna test the Eagles D line that much.
Not scared of them?
I mean, I'd probably be more scared of Pacheco, to be honest. I think Pacheco could have a good game. Now, if you look at it this way, because they did have a couple problems against Christian McCaffrey a couple of weeks ago before all the injuries started, and then the Niners had to go full run game. But when the Niners actually had, a offense that had a quarterback, they had to account for Christian McCaffrey, and he had that beautiful touchdown run. Now, granted, one play, I know, but still, that whole drive, McCaffrey was an absolute weapon. If McKinnon or Pacheco managed to get to that sort of level where they're actually in open field, then maybe they actually have a good chance of using the run game to stop them. Now, that's going to take good blocking up front.
Yeah.
That's going to take some broken tackles probably by the running backs. I think, though, it is pretty possible that they can have a good game if they're getting those good blocking lanes, and that's easier said than done for sure. I think with Mahomes though against that secondary, that's where my matchup is because I think with what I've heard from the Niners and everything, the Niners players coming out of that loss, they said they had a scheme to go up against the Eagles and to beat them, and obviously didn't get to use it. But I think the Chiefs also have a scheme, having 2 weeks to game plan for this Eagles team. They're gonna Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, they'll have a scheme up there. I think that'll be beating them through that secondary. And I think watching Mahomes just pass it over the heads of people. I think with Kelsey there as well. I know you guys were talking about double teaming him and everything. I think that's again a lot easier said than done. I think that would really become a test for the Eagles. I think if they start double teaming Kelsey, that might actually flip the game in the Chiefs' favor either way because you're really going against your strengths. You're really not using that great one-on-one coverage if you're on your wide receivers or one-on-one coverage from your safety to Kelsey. You're double teaming a guy, and that's going to free up other guys there. And Mahomes can even scramble a little bit. And if his ankle's all right, I mean, look, last game he literally won them the game on a scramble. So look, all that taken into account, the Chiefs they need a special Patrick Mahomes game. He struggled a lot in those two Super Bowls he played so far in his career. I think a third time he should be a bit more experienced. I think then Mahomes with some scoring pressure can really give the Chiefs defense a lift because Jalen Hurts will be feeling that pressure too.
Yeah, 100%. But I mean, we did just see, I don't know, the Chiefs defense didn't have any problem slowing down Mixon, who didn't score a lot of, he didn't get a lot of yards, didn't score much in the way of fantasy points either. Where on the other side, we just saw the Eagles completely run over what used to be the number one rushing defense. And it tells me that sometimes when you go into playoff football, what you don't know anymore. We're going to start getting down and nailing people down on what they actually think the result of this game is going to be. Tell me how you think this fucker's going to run, because mate, so far we've it's hard to know, and it's opinion time. Let's get some scores on the board. Let's get some. I've got a bit of a reveal to do myself yet. I'm for the video audience. I'm underneath pretty much a fucking tablecloth, but let's get some predictions and let's get some scores.
Takes people.
Yeah, Ian, I'm looking at you, mate. Tell me about how this game's going to play out and who's going to win and what the score's going to be. Give me the lot.
In terms of play out, look, I have to agree with everything we've just been saying. I don't know how you stop the Eagles defense. I don't know how you stop them getting the all-time sack record, including playoffs. I think they're only like 4 or 6 away from that. They only missed out on the all-time regular season record by 2. 70 sacks in a season is insane. And on the other side, though, how do you stop the Eagles' O-line right now? Jason Kelsey is a future Hall of Famer. Landon Dickerson is an absolute wall. Somalio is just ridiculous. Lane Johnson is ridiculous. Aussie boy Jordan Mailata is just playing out of sight for someone who hadn't put on a helmet 5 years ago. I don't know how you get through that either to get to Jalen Hurts. But at the same time, I mean, you've got cheat codes on, essentially cheat codes on the Kansas City offense. You've got Patrick Mahomes, you've got Travis Kelce, who everyone always talks about. And the way that they play, I am so back and forth with this game constantly, and I think I have been for an entire week. I hear different opinions. I'm on the Chiefs one day, and I'm on the Eagles the next.
Good to know I'm not alone.
It's probably going to be like that, and I reckon whatever bets I make on the game are going to be somewhere at about 9:15 a.m. on Monday morning, right before I start sinking those first beers, because after that it's just going to get hectic. Right now I'm big time leaning towards the Chiefs, away from where all the money lines and everything and everybody else sort of is right now. I'm leaning towards the Chiefs. I'm leaning towards close games. I'm keeping my fingers crossed for an overtime Super Bowl, because what better way to end this absolute insanity of an NFL season than to have an overtime Super Bowl and a big time score.
That's bold. That is bold.
Yeah. Look, I'm thinking it's going to be big scores, and I'm sort of leaning more towards, I don't know. Off the top of my head, the thing that's coming in my head right now is sort of 38-32. So I'm going big numbers too. So
that's bold. 70 points in the Super Bowl that goes to overtime.
I want fun in the Super Bowl. I don't want a fucking Patriots style Super Bowl, okay? Where it's just all defense and
17-19. Yeah.
You just hate your life for the entire thing. As an NFL fan, you're standing there watching the screen, you're like, oh, put me to sleep. Can someone please run me over with a bus right now? Because this is just ridiculous. All right, we're over that. We're past the Patriots. So,
Mark, I'm sorry to put you up next, because your 17-19 prediction is now, it sounds like it's had water thrown over it.
That's the first half of it.
No. Total joke. But no, Mark, I'm looking at you, brother. I need this whole gambit from you as well about what's going to happen in this game. A bit of a bold prediction in there, like Ian. I think we could all throw in something a little bold, and a decision on who's going to win. And
let's go with the Gday Gridrion bold predictions. Let's go. Yeah. Big predictions. Manjot's going to throw out 20 when we get to him, so let's.
Me last.
I think
I'm putting a limit of 5 on Manjot. 5. I'm putting a limit on. Once he hits 5, I'm cutting his mic.
Yeah, don't cut Mark's mic though.
No, sorry, Marky, you're on.
One a second, Manjot, then you're out.
You can get a lot.
Yeah, look, I see this the same way. I see this. It will be high scoring. I think this will be the playoff game for the Eagles where they will go over the total points scored. So I see it as 27-24 is the score that I would probably go with. I think, as I said earlier, it'll come down to whether the Chiefs can control the run. I think Frank Clark and help me, Manjot.
Chris Jones,
that's it. Thank you. They'll be, I think, given the opportunity, they will do enough to disrupt Hurts and get him off script. Patrick Mahomes is just he can do enough to make up for the deficiencies of the Kansas City defense, and I trust the fact that Andy Reid and that team have been there before, so they'll handle the occasion better. As for my bold prediction, I would say Jerick McKinnon first touchdown scorer.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Whoa! I was not expecting that name.
Whoa.
All right.
Is that? I think that's it. I tick the boxes. Score, winner.
Yeah, 27-24. Chiefs win.
Yep.
27-24. So it's just like Chiefs had the lead and the Eagles just get back into it. Or are you saying kick that stops the world style finish. What are you doing there?
Oh, yeah, like field goal on like 1 second. That would be the best.
I love those.
Disney couldn't even write that script. Although the NFL already have that script, right, Manjup?
Yeah. Yeah, the script writers going crazy, aren't they?
100%.
Mark knows the script. He has the inside job.
He's been talking to Arian Foster. Taylor, can I draw you on any of this? I know you're not a guy to have opinions.
No, of course not, mate. And, bold takes, that's definitely not my wheelhouse.
Never. This is going to be out of your comfort zone, I understand, but thanks for playing along.
Yeah, exactly. It's funny. I was thinking a very similar score to Mark. I was sort of looking around that range, but I'm gonna say the Chiefs score a little bit more than that. I'm gonna go with 30. I'm gonna go 30 to 24. I'm gonna say it's a 6-point win for the Chiefs. It's one of those ones like I was talking about earlier that if I was actually to dive into just the stats and just the matchups, I think I would lean the Eagles, but I feel like you go with your gut on stuff like this more so than go with what the stats say. And I just think in the end, I just can't go past Pat Mahomes and Travis Kelce and that connection. And I brought up the stat, obviously, about the fact that the Eagles have given up over 30 points a game to higher than average offenses. And I believe Patrick Mahomes fits that bill. So I think they are going to put up exactly 30 in this game. So I'm going to go 30 to 24. Manjot mentioned he wasn't sure if the Chiefs were going to be able to run on the Eagles. I actually think this Eagles D-line is a bit of an enigma where they're amazing at rushing the quarterback, but they're actually not that great at defending the run, funnily enough. They're actually, I wouldn't call them a run funnel, but they were actually, I think they were about 22nd or 23rd against fantasy running backs. They actually can be beaten on the edges, and I think Pacheco, the way he runs, I think he could actually find a few holes in this D line because I actually think they're better at rushing the quarterback than they are at actually defending the running back. So I'm actually going to say that Pacheco has over 110 yards rushing. Actually, you know what? I'm going to scrap that. I'm going to go 125 all-purpose
125 plus a TD.
Loving it.
That's beautifully specific.
Yeah, I just thought I'd ask them. I think he may get some screen passes in this game, like I brought up at the start of the podcast. So I think he might get some yards off some dump offs as well. So I think I'm going to say 125 all-purpose.
We saw exactly that from the Jags with ETN just stomp, throw it as he stretches to the left or right, and then we're yards there. So it wouldn't be a dumb play where to do that against an defense who you think can do very similar things to what the Jags were trying to stop the Chiefs doing because they sense the weakness.
I just think if they can run the ball on the Eagles, that's just going to open up for Mahomes even more. Right? And if he doesn't have to throw to get them into the red zone, then that's just going to open up even more of the playbook for Andy Reid. Right? It's going to be enormously hard for the Eagles to stop this offense if the perceived worst part of their offense, which would be their running game, is getting it going.
Oof. Now, Manjot, you said you wanted to go last.
Yeah, you go, Matty.
I'll give you some big predictions.
I need Ian to give me a big prediction. So, I mean, he gave me an overtime. That's happened once in 56 Super Bowls. So, I mean, that's kind of bold already. But if you got some extra little sprinkles to put on there,
in the spirit of Manjot, and Manjot's big predictions, I'll give you another couple. Travis Kelce 2+ touchdowns.
2+, okay.
Travis Kelce first touchdown.
Okay.
That'll help.
Manjot knows what I'm doing here. I'm building multis.
Yeah.
How about this one for a wild one? Harrison Butker with the longest kick of the game, longest field goal of the game.
FG. Okay.
Wouldn't that just be a 50-50 between him and Elliott?
Yes, technically. All right, hang on then. I'll go bigger then. Harrison Butker with the
longest field goal in Super Bowl. No.
I can't do that because I know what it is. Harrison Butker with over 50-yard field goal.
50+. Let's change
50
that.
Plus yard field goal. Yeah, the longest in NFL history is the man, the myth, the legend, Justin Tucker with 66-yarder. I'm not fucking betting anyone gets more than 66 yards unless his name is Justin Tucker. Like, it's just...
But the longest in the Super Bowl is far shorter because it's such a risky play.
I think it's
people are unwilling to do that.
56
It's 54.
And
people
kick
Steve
them
Christie
every day.
So I just searched it up. So it's
I'll up it again then. Harrison Butker with the longest Super Bowl field goal in history.
Got him there. We got him there, man, John. Thank you.
Yeah, this is what Matty did to me all year. Just poked and prodded me to go further.
Come on, mate. Come on, mate.
He loves to do it. Yeah.
I've been a host for 3 seasons now. I'm getting good at this shit.
What's your Super Bowl prediction?
Everyone else so far is going. Hang on, let me get this right. Everyone here, I've got Ian is going Chiefs 38-32, Marky Mark's got Chiefs 27-24, and Taylor has got the Chiefs 30-24.
I love how we all learned our lesson by all going against the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game, and now all of a sudden 3 of us have turned out completely.
100%.
As I said, I may change my mind again though.
True.
It is so close to me. Like, it's just, and the only reason I'm not going with the Eagles right now is because everybody knows I have this irrational hate for the fucking Eagles. So it's just
nothing irrational about it, mate. Come on, it's proving your sanity.
If you like them, you might be more insane than if you hate them.
And it's okay to like them for 60 minutes in a matchup, but I mean, we did that thing and it was very embarrassing when Taylor's like, we're going to be a drop where we all go against Mahomes and then he just smokes the Bengals. And he didn't smoke the Bengals, but thank goodness, because he said, it'll be like 34-0 in the third quarter. I was glad that at least it wasn't something to nil in the third quarter. I'm bucking the trend, guys, and I am going the Eagles.
I knew it.
I'm going the Eagles, and I'm going the Eagles by just 2.
2? So close.
Yeah. I've decided early on that was going to be the margin. The margin's going to be pretty narrow. And my reason here is that I just think there's going to be some real nervousness about this. Mahomes has found it very difficult to get settled into Super Bowl games. Hurts is there for the first time with an offense that is, scoring points, but they're doing it in kind of unconventional ways, and they haven't been really repeatable about how they do it. So I think both teams have kind of got their scruples. It's a word you might not have thought you were going to hear when you get up this morning. Scruples. Sounds like something that grows on a nutsack, I know, but both teams have got them. And my score line, and this will become evident later, why I think
they're not growing on my nutsack.
But they probably are. Have a quick look. Get Sarah to check them out, mate. I haven't settled on whether it's 21-19 or 22-20, but the Eagles will win the game by either one or the other. 2-point game, one team scores 20 or below, the other scores just the other side of that. I just want field goals because there's a reason for that later.
Is that a trust in the Eagles offense? Obviously the Chiefs have very little in the receiving game outside of Kelsey. Do you just think they completely shut them down?
What I think it is that the unrepeatability of what the Eagles do is kind of good for them because one week they just run all over you. The next week, Hurts just runs all over you. The week after that, Devonta Smith has 170 yards and 2 touchdowns. The next week, AJ Brown has 150 yards.
That's swole, Batman.
Yeah, it's Arthur when he's not swole, as we've learned.
That motherfucker's name is Arthur. He's not swole anymore.
Yeah. No, he has been unswole for Marky Mark lately. He's been leaving parts of Mark also very unswole. But
very sad, very Joe Flacco.
Yeah, a lot of Flacco going on in that region of the Marky Mark anatomy. So I'm sticking with that, and I think it's stupid to bet against Mahomes. And since all of you are betting with Mahomes, I'm going to be stupid about it. And I put my money where my mouth is, and I put the jersey on before I knew any of you were doing that too. So I've been walking around the house in this for the last hour and a half before the show, and my kids are they all wanted a bit of a go. I sent a picture of in the group earlier of my little one looking ridiculous trying to get the pads off. She went out through the neck hole because she's so skinny. Funny little thing. Anyway.
Wes Watkins.
So, and my big prediction, of course, I'm going against the grain with everybody else, and I'm saying the Eagles will win it. But I think it's going to be Jake Elliott is going to be the hero, and he's going to have 4 field goals.
Oh.
No one will talk about how Jake Elliott's the hero, but he will be.
He's my hero.
Yeah. He, Mark, and Jake Elliott, they have an affinity.
So Jake Elliott's the hero.
Yeah. And we'll talk about the affinity through the off-season, but yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm doing Jake Elliott 4 field goals. Hero.
A hero with 4 field goals. This is where we got to be specific. Fuck, I can't talk. This is where we got to be specific, because he can have 4 field goals and still not be the hero. But are you saying that he's going to be the hero with 4 field goals?
Yeah, he's going to be a hero. He's going to have 4 field goals. He'll be the hero. They'll build a fucking statue of him, mate. They've got Nick fucking Foles outside that dirt box.
That's some big onions right now. That's a lot of water.
That's a lot of water, especially if I'm wrong. But speaking of people who've been wrong a lot, Manjot, we've been looking at your fantasy performances lately, and thank God this isn't a fantasy piece of analysis, because if it was, I'd be nervous.
Well, for anyone that's watched or listened to any Gday Gridrion big prediction shows, Manjot is famous for throwing about 20 for every game.
And then one hits and he celebrates.
Yeah, one hits. I'm happy. Come on, that's why I make
Manjot definitely subscribes to quantity over quality. So this should be good.
Percentages go higher, right?
No, that's not how it works. That's not how percentages work.
What are your percentages on 4+ field goals for Jake Elliott then, smartass?
Yeah, that's probably bad.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
But,
all right, brother. I'll make some room for you. Go.
Man, look, we've had 2 weeks to think about it. We've had some weird questions at media day. We've had all of this talk about Donna Kelsey. We've had all of these questions about Andy Reid and Nick Sirianni. And look, once we get to Sunday or Monday for us Aussies, it's gonna be one heck of a show, I reckon. But I don't know. The thing is, my gut the whole week has not felt good, because since I've pretty much watched the Super Bowl, I've never gone for the winning team. Like, not never, but it's been so rare. Like, so I remember the Peyton Manning Broncos, I went for them, but I was going for the Panthers as well. I was like on the fence with that game, which is very weird. Only time I've really been on the fence.
The other two.
Yeah, I went for the Broncos officially because they won. But yeah, I also went for the Eagles when they beat the Patriots, which was so not like me. But look, I had to go for them over the Patriots. I just thought Eagles were finally overdue for a championship. And then, yeah, apart from that, I've really not gone for a team. Like, okay, I mean, the Saints, Colts, and also the Steelers, Cardinals were like, I went for both teams because I didn't know what the game was like back then, but those don't count. So I've only really went for 2 Super Bowl championship teams in like the last 11 or something years, which is a really, really bad record for me. So that's really been weighing on my mind. The team I'm going for in this game is the Kansas City Chiefs, because look, I love Patrick Mahomes. I love Travis Kelsey. I love that team. I also really fucking hate the Eagles, especially their fans talking shit about us after beating us with like no quarterbacks. I hope
you guys were shit. You guys were awful. You deserved it. You were terrible. You didn't belong there. Come on.
Look. I hope they get humbled in this game. I really do.
Oh, your score prediction better reflect that.
Look, the thing is,
60.
Look at Mark. He's laughing like the cat that got the milk. He's like, yeah, buddy, you tell him.
Look, I'm going to be honest. It is not looking good for me and the Chiefs. I think because I'm going for the Chiefs, I think the Eagles will win. And I think that they're a good enough team that they can actually beat them by 2 scores. So my gut for the entire week has been saying Eagles by 14 points. And I don't know why. But look, at the last minute, while we've been talking about this game, the one name that's been standing out to me is Patrick Mahomes. I'm like, do I really want to say Eagles 14 plus with Mahomes on the field, a healthy Mahomes with a healthy O-line this time? And I'm like, probably I can't say that. And I don't know. My gut has been telling me that, but I think, knowing me, I think the Chiefs will win. I think they will win but it'll be very, very close by 3
And when
points.
the Eagles win by 14, Manjot's going to claim that he won, or if the Chiefs win, he's going to claim.
He's gone both. He's gone Chiefs and Eagles and Chiefs.
He's sat so hard on the fence that there are splinters.
The win and the place.
So Chiefs by 3 is what I'm taking.
Yeah. And look, all I know from this game, a couple stats. Number one, these two teams will finally get split by something in points scored. Number two, whoever wins has more wins in State Farm Stadium than the Cardinals this season. So, you know, that Cardinals pack is really being smoked right now by one of these teams. And look, yeah, there you go. A couple stats there. Hopefully Andy Reid can get the job done, get his second Super Bowl as a head coach, third as a coach overall. Hopefully he gets the job done. I'm really hoping for it. Go Chiefs, you know. Fuck the Eagles, obviously, because everyone can say that. Everyone hates that team. So look, the Chiefs, I'm really hoping, Mahomes, you get your second Super Bowl so I can start talking you up and GOAT conversation talks and as well. Just want to start friendly debates about that and stuff. Yeah. So look.
Speaking of that, Manjot, I actually was listening to something about that this week. Do you know, like, if Mahomes wins this, he basically has the same resume at 27 or whatever he is that Peyton Manning had in his entire career.
Yeah.
Because I was basically saying if Mahomes retired after the Super Bowl, would he be in the Hall of Fame? And they said, yeah, he'd basically be next to Peyton
100%.
Manning, the career he's had.
Oh, he'd be first ballot within, like, I think right now if he retired before the Super Bowl.
He's already going to be.
100%.
He's already going to be because the things that he and the Chiefs have done since he came into the league, since his first year as a starter, have changed.
AFC Championship games is insane.
Yeah, they've changed the game. The way that they've played even has just changed the way the game's played. So
the benefit of getting a guy who's developed into what should have been a number 1 draft pick, not number 1, so he's not going to a team that has nothing else.
Yeah.
That's the disadvantage of a guy like Peyton Manning. It's a disadvantage of a guy like, I don't know, Andrew Luck, who was on a trajectory to have a really great career.
Andrew Luck would have been all-time great.
Right? So these number 1 picks, they're so up against it. And like, what was Cam's ceiling if he was a number 1 talent and he showed he could do things that were really difficult to stop in the league, but he was going to a team that had nothing else. That's why he was a number 1 pick. And it puts them at such a disadvantage.
Yeah.
Mahomes didn't have that. Which, I mean, and not all those number 1 players' fault, and also not Mahomes' fault. He's got a fantastic wicket, but he's pressing on and he's filling his boots as he should. And I love that. You're not going to get me saying Mahomes, what a bum, and that he shouldn't, you know, if he wins this game, and 4 out of 5 analysts here say he will, you know, awesome. I love cheering for the guy. But if he loses it, I don't actually think it's going to change much about the narrative about it. To be honest,
No,
I don't think it hurts him to lose.
Not at all. No.
He's in this rare situation where
because the
result actually doesn't matter.
Well, if the Chiefs lose it, it's going to be an absolute barn burner. It's going to be a ridiculous game for them to lose it.
I think it matters because I think he leaps a bit of a pantheon. Like I think, like Manjot said, I think you're starting to see a real trajectory of him becoming better than Brady. Well, honestly, at one stage. Whereas if he misses an opportunity to get to 2, you know, he might make a few more AFC Championship games and he doesn't get back to the Super Bowl in the next couple of years. He's stuck on 1 for a while. There's always going to be the talk of Brady having far more Super Bowl success than him. But if he gets to 2, turns that into 3 in the next couple of years, then all of a sudden we're saying this guy is on a road to becoming the GOAT.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although the talk will always be that unless
he lost one to Mahomes, he lost one to Brady as well.
No,
I've heard that come up already.
Unless in his career he surpasses the amount of Super Bowl wins that Brady has, everyone is always going to say that Brady's had more Super Bowl wins, so he's therefore.
It's the Jordan LeBron debate all over.
Yeah.
At the moment,
how many do you win thing, I think, is the dumbest thing because it gives people from credit for not making it to one.
Don't get me started.
Montana got to 4 Super Bowls and he won them, or Bradshaw gets to 4 and he wins them. What the fuck did you do with the rest of your seasons, mate?
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You get credit for that? Anyway.
Also, different eras, this generation being
I mean,
soft and all.
You talked about Andrew Luck too. Whereas you notice how everyone always talks about Andrew Luck, saying that he would have been one of an all-time great. He would have definitely probably been the greatest of all time had he kept playing through. So he's already forgiven for the fact that he didn't win that he didn't win multiple Super Bowls, that he didn't have all these records, because you looked at everyone looks at what the player was, and he was amazing. And it was just the fact that he went, I don't want to do this anymore. That was it.
Yeah. And he threw turnovers over turnovers.
Yeah.
And his team, he dragged them to playoffs. We saw the minute he wasn't there, they were turtle shit. And they were turtle shit before he got there.
Yeah.
And I think that's why we forgive him, is that while he was there, he made them a legit playoff team who could win a playoff game, even on the road sometimes. But he just never had the support cast, and he was lucky to have survived the attempts at murder that Jim Irsay put him through, to be honest. And I know Mark agrees with me on that.
Attempted murder is probably the best way to put that. Have you got other big predictions for this one?
Yeah. Right. We need the big predictions and then a score line.
Firstly, I didn't put up a big predictions or a score line. But
I've got a lot of room on this page for your big predictions. Don't worry about that.
The predictions. Firstly, there's currently a streak of 8 straight Super Bowls where the coin toss winner lost a game.
Yep.
So, boy, I'm going to say that streak does continue. I think whoever wins the coin toss will lose this game. And that's a weird prediction. That's a weird one to start with. I know. That's a weird prediction to start with.
Isn't there some huge run of every single time the team wins the toss, they defer as well?
Yeah.
Like every single team that wins the coin toss, like for the last God knows how many years, has deferred the kickoff as well.
It's going to be indoors. You might as well.
Well, there seems to be like an idea that it's better to know where you stand at halftime, knowing you're getting the ball, and you can kind of like gauge the end of the first half, knowing you're getting the ball in the second half. So everyone seems to do it, but they all seem to lose.
But I think if it's an outdoor stadium,
probably something in that.
Yeah, but I also think if it's an outdoor stadium, there's something it could change in the weather that makes it worthwhile to have the ball first that might not be so worthwhile having it later, or vice versa. I don't know. I think all that goes away when you're now dealing with the most environmental impact being, how strong is the air conditioning blowing? Anyway, sorry. I can just remember I've got images of Matthew Lloyd at the Telstra Dome picking up grass and throwing it in the air and going, "You're indoors." Anyway.
If you're going to start giving shit to my boy Matthew Lloyd, I'm just going to stop right here.
He was the only fucker who did it. I can't pick on anyone else.
I would have done it.
Just making sure you're still indoors.
As if you would have done it for shits and giggles.
The grass still went straight.
And he still hasn't won a final in like 6,000 days.
His kicks weren't. That was the problem. I think he was waiting for Breeze. Anyway.
Sorry, Taylor. I
Sorry, man.
brought it up with Basington. I have to do it as a North fan who hates them. But look, back to the other football we're talking about here. Super Bowl. I'm very excited. I think Mahomes will get over 300 yards for the first time in his Super Bowl career. I think this will be his chance to really get a good game out of him. I think Kelsey as well, as we've been talking about Kelsey predictions. I think Kelsey, he'll get over 100 yards. He'll get a touchdown or more. I think that's where he's going to be. I think AJ Brown will have a bit of a difficult time against L'Jarius Sneed. I think AJ Brown might not. I don't think he'll get to 100 yards. So AJ Brown under 100 yards. But Devonta Smith, he'll be over 100 yards because of L'Jarius Sneed's impact. And look, I think Pacheco, he could have a good game. I have changed my mind a little bit on that, actually, with that Eagles D-line and all of that. So I think Pacheco over 75 scrimmage yards should be a safe one. I know that's really
you can't go safe. We've already got a 125 plus a touchdown. So if you're not doing that plus, you're out. Right. You're out of the Pacheco sweepstakes, mate.
I think McKinnon though he'll get a touchdown for sure.
Get the first one.
I think this.
What you should do, man, John, if you want to go like 50-50 ones, you should just multi them and say, all right, Pat Mahomes is getting 300, Kelsey's getting 100, and they all have to hit, or you lose.
Because what he's done here...
It's more fun that way, isn't it, Taylor?
Yeah,
We had Kelsey 2+ touchdowns from Ian. Love it, but we've got Manjot saying, yeah, Kelsey touchdown or more, but 100 yards or more. So it's still got its own layers, but where he's saying you've actually got Pacheco for 125 and a touchdown, Tay, and Manjot's going, oh, well, 75. Okay, that's not
you
bold.
can leave that one out.
But at least you've got where you've gone head to head with Ian. He's saying 2 touchdowns plus. You're saying a touchdown plus, but 100 yards plus. So I think that stands, and that's fair.
Yeah, all right, that's fair. With McKinnon, I think I might up that a little bit. I think he might get a couple. I think he's going to get a couple touchdowns in this game.
Jerick McKinnon.
Yeah, it's a very bold take, but I think the way that I saw McCaffrey playing as well as he could, as when he had a quarterback, I think there's some potential for McKinnon to actually get some pass catches and to run a couple in. I think 2 total touchdowns or more could be in the cards for Jerick McKinnon's.
Jerick McKinnon, 2+ touchdowns, $10.50 on Sportsbet right now.
Oh boy,
okay.
So it's not too bad of an odds. But the thing is, when you're looking at the Super Bowl, sometimes the most random players out there can step up. Remember when Chris Matthews stepped up for the Seahawks in Super Bowl 49?
110 yards or something like that.
And we never heard from him again. And then Corey Clement for the Eagles back in 2017, part of the Philly special. He had a touchdown himself that was very controversial, but it counted, which I wasn't too much of a hater of. I thought that was fair. It's just Patriots fans were crying, definitely. You always got those Patriots guys like Malcolm Butler who step up when you don't know who the hell is going to step up. See, 2 for the Super Bowl 49. There you go. Yeah, there's always these sort of guys that you look at and it's like, I don't know who the hell you were before, but now David Tyree, obvious example, David Tyree. Like, I don't know who the
Javon Curse with that catch.
Yeah, Jermaine Curse when he had that catch. It was like,
who?
Yeah, who the heck? Only Seattle fans will know him. But yeah, literally like David Tyree, no one in the world knew who he was until he made the helmet catch. Like, that's the thing I'm talking about. I think there's a chance for some unknown player such as
Noah Gray.
Blake Bell.
Who knows? Maybe even Blake Bell.
We brought up Blake Bell earlier today. Yeah, just in our own chat.
Who knows? He could have like 2 touchdowns. You never know.
I just had Noah Gray 2 touchdowns. Was that it?
Yeah. Yeah.
I haven't got a score from you yet, though, Manjot. And if you're going to have all these Kansas touchdowns, this is going to be like 48-7. Like, it's fair to him.
Look, I'm gonna go 38-35. I think this will probably get into the overtime territory or last second field goal. So I think it'll be a field goal to win it, either in overtime or in the last seconds of the game. I think Butker hits a good one.
Just wants to make sure he secures both so he can say he called it.
Come on, no. It's a game-winning field goal. It counts. It counts. I had to specify that it can be in overtime and at the end of the game.
Everyone else knows.
Yeah.
Come on, man. I have to be specific. I'm a lawyer, man.
You have to be specific.
He's got to broaden it. He's not being specific. He's broadening it.
Specific after he said, I really like the Eagles. I think they're going to win by 14, but I'm going with the Chiefs. Like,
I had the gut feeling all week that the Eagles will win by 14, and then like after like rethinking about it, I'm like, okay, Chiefs by 3, and now it's gonna be. I'm probably gonna get it wrong.
Eagles 3-point game, which I love, by the way.
Eagles are good. I think that'll be an NFL record because. No. The Niners versus the Chargers is the record. 75 points, 49-26, Super Bowl 29. Oh man!
Why don't you just go for that? Why don't you just go for that then, Manjot? You're only 2 points.
Oh, because he'll take a 49ers record off him.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
They conceded just enough points to make that a total point scoring record, you know?
It's not going to be a big prediction.
Mark knows!
It's not going to be a big prediction. I'm not going to throw it in a bit. How cool would it be at some point to see the Eagles make Jason Kelce eligible and get him a TD in a Super Bowl. Because you know that Travis
The
is
double Kelsey.
and to get to
How
have
much
a
is the odds
Kelsey,
for that?
have a Kelsey Bowl with 2 Kelseys getting TDs.
What's the odds of that? Come on.
I think I just heard
Someone
Ian
get-
call that.
No, I'm not saying it because it's no way it's happening.
It's probably like $1,000.
Not even Nick Sirianni would be game
come
enough to do that. But
Mike Vrabel has a few pretty big game touchdowns. Why not? Why not? Jason
There's-
Kelsey. Why not?
there's no Jason Kelsey anytime TD.
Yeah, it's probably fair enough.
This is the Aussie NFL Fantasy Show.
The team I'm going for in this game is the Kansas City Chiefs. Look, I love Patrick Mahomes. I love Travis Kelsey. I love that team. I also really fucking hate the Eagles, especially them fans talking shit about us. Look, I hope they get humbled in this game. I really do. Because I'm going for the Chiefs. I think the Eagles will win. I think that they're a good enough team that they can actually beat them by 2 scores. At the last minute, while we've been talking about this game, the one name that's been standing out to me is Patrick Mahomes. I think the Chiefs will win, but it'll be very, very close by 3
And
points.
when the
Like,
Eagles win by 14, Manjot's going to claim that he won, or if the Chiefs win, he's going to claim.
He's gone
I'm
both.
gonna
He's
be
gone
hating
Chiefs and
myself.
Eagles and Chiefs.
He sat so hard on the fence that there are splinters.